Wayne, I've got a really bad news. What's that? I think Jimmy's friends, well, his species, might be dying out because they're all very similar, Wayne.
They are.
They all have the same face, the same eyes, the same throat, and they're all really purple, and no one really cares about them.
Who was that guy anyway?
I don't know, he's purple though.
Right, so, species and stuff, and diversity and stuff, and genetic stuff.
Yeah, so diversity is good, but what type of diversity is good, actually? All of it. But specifically, species diversity, what's that?
Well, species diversity, that one, focuses on species.
Yeah.
So firstly, the number of species. In a wood, for example, there'll be butterflies, there'll be rabbits, there'll be probably some wood.
Yeah.
There'll be lots of things.
Lots of different species, so we'll talk about that, and also talk about the abundance of each species in the habitat. So say you'll have, like Wayne said, deer and butterflies.
Yeah.
Did you say deer and butterflies?
I didn't say deer, but butterflies I did, and there will be deer.
They would be deer and butterflies, there'd be say lots of different types of deer and butterflies, and then loads of butterflies and loads of deer and stuff.
Yeah. So the abundance of them within the habitat as well.
Then there's genetic diversity, which is then, number, like it.
Genetic.
And that's all to do with, as it suggests, the gene. So it's all in particular for one species at a time, this one, and the amount of different alleles there are in a gene pool, for example.
Absolutely. So if we take the example of a butterfly in a wood, chances are there's going to be lots and lots of different ones. There's going to be lots of different alleles. They can all interbreed all of the same species, and they'll all look slightly different, a little bit of different sizes.
And their diversity I'll try again. Diversity there is good, but what happens if they weren't very diverse, Wayne?
Well, they'd be in for a bit of a problem. Say there was for example, tigers. There isn't many tigers in a particular forest, perhaps. There isn't much genetic diversity. So if there was an illness that infected one of the tigers, it could then affect all of the tigers and they could all die out.
Yeah, but if they were very diverse, it may affect that one and none of the others, or may affect a lot of them and then select few will go forward and then survive. That's kind of how natural selection works.
So tigers and big cats in general are a good shout for having relatively low genetic diversity, so being susceptible. Deers, on the other hand, there's going to be loads of different types of deer, so if a disease hits them, some of them will be fine and they will interbreed and carry on. So that's good.
So that's good, and that's why we actually want to increase diversity within things like tigers using conservation, something I'm sure you've heard of. You can adopt a tiger and call him Jim.
Yep, and then you get a free teddy for some reason.
Yeah, and that's good, but what they're focusing on is improving the diversity, so when they do breed, there's no diseases that are bred in and stuff like that.
A good example is pandas. They're flown all over the country, all over the world, from various countries. That one. And they interbreed, and that increases the genetic diversity, so that eventually, when they're released back into the wild, they won't be all susceptible to the same disease.
Yeah.
Interesting thing about pandas,
Yeah.
they all belong to China, every single one.
Really?
Even newly born ones instantly belong to China.
I did not know that one.
Nice. There we go. We always learn something in these videos.
Yeah. Did you know that the Queen owns all the swans in England?
Does she?
Yeah.
Wow, I love that girl.
Yeah, she's pretty good.
So, there's another word I'd like to introduce.
Alright.
Endimism.
Right.
And this is probably a new word, which is why I wanted to introduce it. And it means that something is particular to a habitat. For example, the Galapagos turtle is only found in the Galapagos Islands, as the name would suggest.
Because they were once part of a different place. Water came up, they can't swim, so then they get separated.
Yeah.
Now they're their own species and they're only found there, and it's kind of what it's meant.
And so an endemic species is particularly susceptible to extinction because if the Galapagos Islands was to disappear in some way, if their habitats was destroyed, they can't move anywhere else, so they will be extinct if that was to happen.
So that'd be really bad.
Absolutely. And the similar thing is big cats, stuff like the Amur tiger and the Amur leopards are for a specific forest. If that disappears, they're gone. So it's that sort of thing.
That sort of thing, absolutely.
What if you wanted to measure these sorts of things?
That is a good question, Wayne. That's something you'll be able to talk about in the exam.
Absolutely. So if you're looking at plants, they don't move. So we can use something called a quadrat.
We can. You may have done this, say, in GCSE biology. You went into a field, you threw a quadrat down at, say, 10 metre intervals and counted how many of each thing there was.
The throw is probably random. You just throw it like that. And that because it's random, it gives you a good estimation for the overall habitat.
Yeah, so you want to do it lots of times, and you'll work out maybe an average of 5 dandelions or something.
Yeah, 5 dandelions per metre. How big is the field altogether? Well, you times it 5 by the number of metres squared the field would be.
Yeah, so then
making sure you repeat to find the average of 5, not just one quadrat has 5, therefore there's 5 every metre. You've got to repeat.
You've got to do lots of repeats, and you compare lots of different plants, not just one, and that will show you the genetic diversity, or species diversity there.
Flying things like moths and stuff, you can't use a quadrat unless you just hold it like a square and count how many fly through. They probably won't do that.
So often they use nets and stuff,
Yep.
or like set traps.
Yeah, they're called sweep nets for these. Insects on the ground, you wouldn't use a sweep net for, unless you sweep the floor and then you probably hit them.
No, so then you use hitfalls. Yeah, which looks like it's flat ground and leaves, but you stand on it, it goes right through.
Yep, so the insects just fall down to the ground and can't get out.
Mhm.
Bless their cotton picking stocks. And then we just use normal nets for stuff like fish and stuff, you know, fishing nets. Good name, really.
Yeah,
And that's
very
for
well
stuff
there.
like fish. And again, you count the averages.
Mhm.
And then you can say, well, there's this many roughly in this area, so there's this many roughly in the whole river or the whole wood or whatever.
Yeah, that's what you need to know how to do.
Absolutely. Is that everything in this video?
I think we might have mentioned a few things about gene pools, but we've kind of already mentioned that before.
Oh yeah. Alright.
I was going to help, I didn't.
So when you catch a whole bunch of butterflies, what can you look at about them to get a gene pool? So you don't just get loads of butterflies and go, yep, big gene pool.
Yeah.
How would you tell?
Well, you have to look at their blood or their DNA.
Yep. So that's for genotypes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I forgot the word then. So you can look at genotype.
Yeah.
So you obtain some of their tissues or something like that. You take a sample of their DNA. You can compare it, and you can compare where the alleles line up to how many different things there is.
Yeah, that's a way to, again, measure gender diversity. And you could just look at them and say,
Yeah.
that one's blue, that one's white, that one's got orange polka dots. And that would be called the phenotype, the thing, the characteristic that you show. I think we mentioned that in a few videos earlier.
We did, so we can use either of these things when you catch the butterflies. If there's lots of different coloured butterflies, that's phenotypes. You can see there's lots of different colours. It has a bigger genetic diversity if they're being interbreed. Stuff like deer, they might look pretty similar. You take a genotype and you can say, yeah, this is good. Some of them will be okay.
Something like that. I mean, you could save species by improving things like that.
Yep. Don't really care about the purple thing though. I'm all about the penguins. Don't get me wrong.
Penguins, polar bears, and pandas and tigers definitely. I'm not sure what that even is, Wayne.
No. So don't care really. Wouldn't sponsor.
No. Not got any money.
I've already got a free teddy.